In this episode, I am once again joined by Dr. Nida Chenagtsang, Buddhist teacher, doctor of Tibetan medicine, and author of Let Meditation Be Your Medicine, the timeless healing wisdom of Tibet. Dr. Nida discusses his latest book, the practicality of the Yuthok Nyingthik meditation system, and why it is important to choose a meditation style that suits one's typology. Dr. Nida explains why he opens the book with a tribute to the ancient Greek physician Hippocrates, recounts how he came to a deep appreciation of the roots of European culture, and parses the difference between intellectual and experiential spirituality. Dr. Nida also calls for a moving beyond conditioned views, explains how to appreciate culture and religion without being limited by them, considers attachment theory and guru-disciple dynamics, and reveals how a transformative retreat experience brought him beyond conceptual limitations. So without further ado, Dr. Nida Chenagtsang. Dr. Nida Chenagtsang, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for inviting me again.
Well, I'm so pleased to be talking with you again, and today we're going to talk about your new book, Let Meditation Be Thy Medicine, the timeless healing wisdom of Tibet. And I had the pleasure of reading it yesterday, and it's a really remarkable and interesting book. I'm looking forward to getting into that with you. But before we do, there's also something interesting happening in the next, is it now 2 weeks or something? The Sowa Rigpa Forum in Estonia. I wonder if you might say a little something about what that is.
So, as you know already, Sowa Rigpa is the name of Tibetan medicine, traditional Tibetan medicine, the healing science from Tibet and the Himalayan region. And so we have started the Sowa Rigpa Congress. We used to call it Congress. And since, it's almost like 1 decade ago, So we used to call it the Tibetan Medicine Conference, and then later we changed that name to Sowa Rigpa because, once we say Sowa Rigpa, it includes the traditional medical studies from Mongolia, Bhutan, North India, Nepal, also Siberia and so on. And so therefore we try to use this original Tibetan word, Sowa Rigpa. And then that conference was organized both in the West and East, And so it was very, very successful due to our hard workers, the team members. And so now we have decided to change the name instead of the Congress to call it a forum. And do you know that the Roman word forum?
Yes.
So the Congress, conference, and the summit, they're different words, right? And we try to see this meaning of the words. And forum, actually, it's a kind of interesting word, ancient Roman word. And so Roman time, the forum means people are coming together and they exchange their knowledges, right? Like a conference, There are some people are giving talks and some people are listening, and then they debate about these ideas, like sharing the ideas and exchanging the thoughts and the philosophy. And then meanwhile, there are some other people are coming, like farmers, the kind of a market. They are bringing their, like product and handcraft or even some foods. So I thought like this forum, it's a kind of very interesting idea about like the conference, what we have. So we are inviting the many guest speakers, of course. And then also our organizers and people are coming with their local kind of product, For example, this time, Sorikang, India is producing like a horme and the stick, sticks for stick therapy, the 5 nectars herbal bath, and then some basic herbal tea and so on. So probably some other Tibetan medicine companies are coming too, they can join together. So it's a kind of like open market. And also meanwhile, the conference is going on. And I'm really interested in this year's conference, we focus on the Tibetan medicine or Sowa Rigpa and the mental health. So, it's interesting. Many people, when they think of Chinese medicine, everybody knows about acupuncture, right? And then when we talk about Indian medicine, Ayurveda, everybody talks about panchakarma. And when we talk about Sowa, Rigpa, or Tibetan medicine, many people, they think something more connected with Buddhism and spiritual and so on, right? So that's why I think when we bring the Buddhist tradition and Sowa Rigpa's theory and practice, putting together to focus on the mental health, it's a very important field, right? So today, the modern psychology is becoming, what do you say, very important now because so many people are having psychological issues. It's a really needed medical field. So therefore, so this time we are going to focus about mental health according to Tibetan medicine and according to Buddhism. So that's, I think the first day we talk more about that. And so we have invited, like, Dr. Caroline Van Dam, and then there's some other expertise. And then the second day we are talking about sleep and the dream, So according to Tibetan medicine, according to modern psychology, and according to also Buddhism, I think that part was very important, right? So when we talk about health, we can't ignore about sleep and the dreaming. So that's why, according to Tibetan medicine, to have good quality of sleep, it's a very important part of the lifestyle, right? So we talk different kind of lifestyles, but in a very simple way, lifestyle means how to manage our life. And how to manage our life, it sounds very complicated, but in another way, it can be also very simple. We have to manage the day and the night. It's like a day and the night, how to manage the day. And managing the day is a little bit complicated. We have to work and we have to manage our relationship and family and all the stuff, social life and so on. But how to manage the night is about sleep and the dreaming, right? So we can put them separately or together in any case. So anyway, the main issue is managing is the regularity to get sleep, right? And then the quality of the sleep, and then the disturbance of the sleep. And today, so many people are having like sleep disorders. And so I think, yeah, many of them is depending, people don't know how to manage it, or sometimes it's too late to manage it. It's becoming like a sleep disorder is becoming already a disorder. They need a help. And then once someone has sleep disorder or light sleep or insomnia, whatever, and that's impacting the both mental and physical health. So that's why, as Sowa Rigpa says, the sleep and the dreaming is so important for our health, right? The same way also Buddhist tradition, the sleep and the dreaming is very important. But then in Buddhist tradition, the spiritually, the deep sleep part is called the clear light yoga, and dreaming part we have dream yoga. So that's why sleep and dream we can talk in a very spiritual level too. It's not just something superficial level. It's in a very profound way, right? And many people, they think about this clear light yoga. They always think, what does it mean, clear light yoga? In reality, clear light yoga refer to the deep sleep state, right? And deep sleep state, how we experience is like we experience the deep darkness, right? Deep sleep means deep darkness. We kind of lose our consciousness, and it's like blackout, and then we come out and we don't know what happened. Like we don't know how the time passes and what happens and all the things. So actually, that kind of deep darkness is known as the deep clear light dimension. So that's why we call it clear light yoga. And so we will talk a little bit about that in this conference, and then about the dreaming and the lucid dreaming in the Vajrayana is known as dream yoga. So we'll talk that part a little bit too. So therefore, and then we have there will be psychologists too. So they will talk about this, according to modern psychology, how the sleep and dreaming is important. And then I think there are some guest speakers, they talk about the importance of dream and sleep according to Sowa Rigpa, and then also in the Buddhist view, the spiritual level. And then I think the day 3 is our Sowa Rigpa students, the graduates, and also our Sowa Rigpa counselors, our graduates, and they will present their theses. Probably some of them. They will present the theses, and I checked the list of their theses, and they're all very, very interesting. Yeah. So that's why this forum, it's kind of like a mini market style. People can bring their like a kind of local product, herbal medicine, ointment, essential oil, whatever. And then also the conference, intellectual part is going on. So I really feel this kind of like a ancient Roman style, like intellectual people and farmers and healers and doctors, psychologists and the spiritual practitioners, everybody's coming together. I really like this kind of concept. It's like a kind of biodiversity, right? And many angles coming together. And today, when we say it's an official summit or conference, congress, especially a medical, it's a highly academic, right? Guest speakers, very kind of on-timed. And then there's no that kind of messiness, somebody selling can market, something like this. But I think we should go a little bit organic way. And organic way means like kind of all in one, something, the farmers are there, nomads are there, doctors are there, intellectual people are there, everything is kind of going on together. Yeah, so that's maybe it's my nature. I was born in a yurt in Amdo, and then I grew up in this kind of very nomadic way. For me, it's like the life, the nature of life is already a little bit chaotic, right? Today, the super intellectual people, they want to keep everything logic and order. It doesn't work. And then maybe sometimes it works, but I don't see it's so natural and organic, And then when I come to Rome, I always felt kind of like a home, the ancient civilization meeting the modern civilization, modern culture, and the architect, everything is very ancient and old, and the modern culture is it's a modern civilization living in the ancient architect, So kind of a combination. I find this is a kind of fascination, right? I know some people are super interested in the future. Science fictions about the future, the travel of a galaxy and these things. So for me and my life experience, I feel like a kind of bridging from the ancient civilization, to be born in a yurt, grew up in the nomadic life, and then coming to the Rome and finding kind of second home. And then also this kind of cultural bridge. Actually, it's very interesting. So forum for me is kind of representing that kind of nature.
That's fascinating. And I understand some of it will be, at least some of it, recorded and made available online. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think the forum, and also I will give some teaching about Mahamudra, about body and mind combination. Mahamudra and I think rejuvenation or something together. So most of teachings, I think both will be in person and online, and probably some of those our lectures will be recorded. Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
Where can people find out about this conference?
It's organized by Sorikang, Estonia. It's called the Sowa Rigpa School. We have a small school for Sowa Rigpa in Estonia. It's called the Valuste School. And so Sorikang, Estonia is the organizer, yeah.
This theme, you're talking about Rome having become your second home.
Yeah.
And this, I think, this appreciation for the culture with which you're now surrounded, this appreciation and enjoyment you clearly have for it, it comes through in your new book, Let Meditation Be Thy Medicine, in quite a surprising and interesting way. In your introduction, you write, meditation is one of the greatest gifts of ancient human civilization. Today we generally associate the practice of meditation with Asian traditions, but in examining the word itself, we can see that it also has its roots in Western culture. I chose the title, Let Meditation Be Thy Medicine, to honor the Greek physician Hippocrates, known as the father of Western medicine, and to illustrate the universal and timeless principles of healing. That's, I think, quite a striking way to open a book about meditation as this metaphor of meditation as healing. And the book itself, of course, focuses a great deal on the Yuthok Nyingthik, a Tibetan lineage of meditation. So to open the book in this way, I think is quite striking. Might you say something about that? This appreciation you have for what you describe here as the roots of Western culture.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's kind of interesting. I talk a lot about organic. For example, in the back of my book, I said life is about being the original and organic you. And then I just want to tell you something interesting. I gave this to Professor Thurman, and he was saying, like life is about being organic, original and organic you. And then he was joking. He said, one word is missing here. I said, which one is missing? He said, original and organic and orgasmic you. So Professor was really hilarious. He was laughing about that. So I'm really talking about organic humans, right? So this is a kind of my way of thinking. And, I know today so many people they talk about authentic, our own versions, right? So what is an authentic version? And of course, it has many questions, to try to understand ourselves and to be who we are, right? Without many masks or without hiding underneath of the, I don't know, the political, cultural, and, the social norms or conditions and so on. So the reason myself, I love that organic word, the organic word is when we say organic food or, organic is coming from nature, right? So, let's talk about veggies or potatoes or carrots or fruits. So everything has a root. And I think the root is very important. When I say organic, it means we need to remember where we are coming from, right? Of course, that's why I'm saying I was born in a yurt. Like my son Ewan was asking me, we are having some interesting conversations. He was saying, Dad, where you were born? I said, I was born in Amdo, northeastern Tibet. He said, no, you are born at home. So I said, oh, right. I was born at home, but you are born in the hospital. And then he was laughing. He said, yeah, that's our difference, It's like today, all the little kids, they were born in the hospital, right? So to be born at home and especially to born in the nature, under a yurt or tent. So I really feel that's my root. I was born, on the grassland in a yurt, in a tent, and I grew up, with yaks or sheep or, wildlife and animals and so on. It's a very, very nomadic style. And then this is also reason that I have chosen to study Tibetan medicine, because Tibetan medicine is all about plants and minerals, and its connection with the nature. So because I was born in the nature, I thought I can't live without the nature, right? So then I knew that when I grow up, I have to find my way of living too. So the Tibetan medicine was the perfect way for me. And then once I come to the West, to Europe, and I was always presenting the Tibetan culture, right? Tibetan Buddhism, Tibetan medicine, Tibetan tradition, and the nomadic culture. And I was very much also Tibetan yogic tradition, the Ngakpa tradition, right? So I was really kind of presenting those, or I was kind of, how do you call it? Very fanatic about my own culture and my own tradition, right? I think in a way, we are all kind of fanatic, to saying, oh, we need to protect our culture and preserve it and this and that. I think in a way, maybe it's organic too. It's a normal, right? But then, the living in Europe, living in Europe, in a way, it's not only we Asians or Tibetans or Mongolians, whatever, we have the root of our culture. Like everybody has their own, the root of the culture, right? In Europe, it's the root of the culture. It's really amazing, right? If we think about ancient Egyptian medical tradition, we're not talking about art and philosophy and architect and all the stuff, other science, just the medical tradition. Over 5,000 years ago, how the medical science was developed in ancient Egypt. And then moving to the Greek, and the ancient Greek civilization, about medicine, art, and, spirituality is so amazing, right? And then even like the Kos, the little island, the birthplace of the Hippocrates, right? Little island in Europe is becoming, the motherland of the father of the medicine, in the world, right? And so, little island is becoming the motherland of this worldly known, the father of the modern medical science. I think it's really amazing. And then he gave his teachings, 4 types of humors, and then spreading, and then coming to, to Italy, or becoming the Roman medicine. And then the Romans are so kind of sophisticated, in the medical field, and then spread it to the Arabic countries, right? That's why in Arabic country, they call it Unani medicine. In Arabic word, Unani means Greek, right? Greek medicine from Greece to Arabic world, or with the Romans to Arabic world. And then that one bridged to the Asia, right? The China, India, Tibet, So this kind of when we talk about the root of the culture, I think it's really, really interesting. So my personal story is first time when I arrived to Rome, then I thought, oh, this is like, it's a dream place, And then I really had this first experience of déjà vu when I was in a little nomad, nomadic boy in Amdo. I always had this kind of like a wish or dream, almost like a déjà vu, the ancient architect, ancient buildings, but with modern civilization, the modern culture, right? So it's almost like a déjà vu. And then once I come to Rome, I thought, oh, this is the one I had kind of vision or déjà vu, when I was little. That's why I really felt kind of my home, emotionally, right? I didn't have any explanations. And then I really felt, wow, this really, it's some people says, oh, Rome is so chaotic, this and that. I said, yeah, it's true. It's chaotic, but it's amazing city. You felt kind of the energy and I don't know. For me, I really like this the combination of the ancient wisdom and modern culture together. The Rome actually presents this, right? If you go to New York, it's a new city. If you go to Singapore, it's a completely new built city, right? So we don't see that kind of cultural root. And in Rome, we see, like Athens, also in Greece, we see this kind of like cultural root is so deeply, right? So that's why my next trip, I want to go to also Egypt to really visit this. I'm super interested in ancient Egyptian medical culture. And so once you really feel the root, and then I was saying, okay, I'm representing Tibetan medicine, Sowa, blah, 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 you know. And then some Italians or Europeans, they say, well, you are in Europe, why you are talking so much about Tibetan medicine? What is the connection? Actually, that was a good question. I said, well, you know, Sowa Rigpa is my ancestors' medical tradition, but you guys had your ancestors' medical tradition too, which was Roman medicine, which was Greek medicine. And so thanks to Greek and Roman medical traditions, your ancestors survived and cured, and that's why you guys are here, you know. So then I start to say what I'm representing, Sowa Rigpa, as your ancestors' medical knowledge too, right? So that's why I had that kind of bridging idea. Then I really start to think more and more. What was a Roman medicine? What was a Greek medicine? And compared to Sowa Rigpa, there's so many things basically is the same. You know, maybe I can't say same, but very similar, right? The Greek medicine is talking about 4 humors. Sowa Rigpa is talking 3 humors. Sometimes we talk also 4 humors. It's very similar. And Greek medicine says, let the food be the medicine. Tibetan medicine said exactly the same thing. Tibetan medicine says there are 4 important healing methods. First one is diet. Second one is lifestyle, right? Diet and lifestyle. So which is so true. What Greek medicine says, let food be the medicine, is absolutely true, right? And Tibetan medicine says there are 4 healing methods, you know, diet, lifestyle, medications, and external therapy. First is diet. So that's why the let food be the medicine is the perfect expression of Sowa Rigpa too, right? It goes together. And then second one is lifestyle. So like Hippocrates says, you know, the lifestyle is very important, right? He says like man's best medicine is walking, something like that, you know. I know you are very much in the sport and exercises, and these days also myself is very much kind of physical training and exercises. Like Hippocrates says, walking is the man's best medicine, which is so true. It's so scientific. And Tibetan medicine says exactly the same thing. Ngutsam chapa cholam cho means just to walk until you sweat is the best. It's called the supreme lifestyle, right? So that's why in the ancient civilization, especially in the medical field, the expression or the theory about health is they are very simple, they are very practical, and they are so true, right? And today the problem is we need to say, okay, there's a scientific research, and that scientific research is proved this is right, and that is this and that. We have to wait for scientifically says we need to get enough sleep. We need to walk enough. This, I think today, in a way, people are a little bit stupid, you know, just to get lost in the head and just waiting for scientific proofs, right? And a bad word, I'm really saying, instead of saying, okay, this is scientific, this and that, we have to see what is the culture, you know, uncorrupted, the real good culture of our ancestors. I'm not saying all culture traditions are healthy and good, but there are many parts are very good and very healthy. So that's why we need to remember our roots, right? So this is the reason I talk about meditation as, you know, let the meditation be the medicine and so on. And then as you read already, you know, everybody thinks, okay, meditation, I'm doing Zen meditation, I'm doing Chan meditation, I'm doing Vipassana, I'm doing Shamatha, right? Meditation. We don't hear anything saying, okay, Christian meditation or Islamic meditation or I don't know, Viking, you know, Viking meditation. We don't hear these things, right? The Greek meditation or Roman meditation. We don't hear these things. You know, I'm not saying it's a problem, but it's a pity because Europeans, you know, the Western people, they kind of forget their roots. But the good part is they dig out the roots from Asia, and that's good. But also we should not ignore our own traditions, our own culture here in the West. I'm not saying Tibetan culture here, European culture, right? So that's why the meditation, the word is meditatum. Meditatum means to ponder. To ponder means think carefully, right? So that exactly means vipassana. Vipassana, right? But then in the Buddhist meditation is well organized. Buddhism says first you do shamatha, first calm down your mind, relax and calm down your mind. Let your mind calm and relax, calm abide. Once you have that calmness and relaxation, and then you do vipassana, then you do analytic meditation. So the word of meditatum, the Latin word to ponder, it means analytic meditation, right? Analyzing means we have to think and rethink and think again and again. Think everything very carefully, right? So it means vipassana. I think it's really, how do you say? Of course, today if I say, okay, vipassana translate as a meditatum or meditation, I'm sure somebody will criticize me. They say, oh no, vipassana is not a word of meditation. It have to be scanning meditation or analytic meditation, this and that, right? So vipassana Tibetan we call Thakthong. Thakthong means they call it insight, or Thak means something extra. Tong means seeing. You see something extra, right? If you think we have a problem. If we try to really think carefully, analyze it carefully, right? Then we don't see the problems only surface. We see in a deep and profound level. Or we can see, okay, superficially there is a problem, but once we analyze it, there is no problem, right? Even there is a problem, we can find a solution thanks to our careful analyzers and careful scanner. Right? So that means meditation, right? Meditatum, to ponder, to think carefully, to see carefully, and then as a result, we see something extra, right? So that's exactly like vipassana. And then also I like this part, like in Ati Yoga, we have the, how do you say, this kind of meditation. If somebody is experiencing fear or anxiety and try to see the fear or anxiety and then try to communicate with the fear or anxiety, our negative emotions, they can manifest like a dark energy or dark force, or maybe they can manifest like inner devils, right? Inner devils. And so if negative emotions, nobody likes to experience negative emotions, but everybody has them and many of them. And then it's a question that how we can manage with them, right? We have lots of internal devils and how we can deal with those devils, right? So then some meditation says, namto, some says don't catch the namto, the discursive thoughts. And some meditation says they catch the thoughts and look at them, right? Look into the fear, catch the fear and look in the nature of the fear. How the fear looks like, where it's coming from, where it stays, where it disappears, right? So in a way, grab the devils, or to hunt the devils and to really grab them and to look and to see, what is their nature, right? So, and then also sometimes maybe it's not just a grabbing and to see and to look, and also you can have a talk, you can have a chat, right? The interesting part is, I don't know, did I tell you about the dream? Somebody's dreaming being chased by a devil, with a knife, and it was a recurrent dream. And then one day this person and stopped running in the dream, escaping, and he stopped and faced to the devil and asked, hey, what you want? Why you always chasing after me with that sharp knife, and what you want from me? And this devil says, I don't know, this is your dream. right? So when we, I think a dream is a very important, like our own world or dimension. And some people, they say, oh, I had a strange dream. I always a joke. I said, if you had a strange dream, it means you are a stranger for yourself, right? It's everything is our own projection, but we are seeing something strange. It means we don't know ourselves. And like this dream of the devil, that man, he discovered the devil is his own projection, right? Because devil said the truth, and devil has no idea why he's running there. So you see that power is coming because of the dialogue. Because the person asked the devil, what you want from me, right? If we are able to ask the fear, hi, fear, what you want from me? Hi, shame, the shyness, the shame, what you want from me? Or we can communicate with depression. Hi, depression, why you bring me so down, and why you bring me feel so dark and so numb? What you really want from me? And who are you? Where do you come from? Where do you stay? And sometimes I feel free from you, and then where you are gone, right? Same way the anger, the anger. And hey, anger, where are you? Very often you visit me, I really don't like you, but sometimes you really invades me. And, then when you come to me, I start to shout. I even break my, the glasses, and I fight with everybody. Hi, anger, where you are, right? If we are able to ask these questions to our anger, to our ego, and to our fear, and so on, and then if we just, instead of saying, I like it or I hate it, I like it, I want you more, or I hate it, I against you, I fight with you, just to have a dialogue, right? So why I'm saying this part, the dialogue, because in the Greek word, actually meditation means dialogue. So again, is another really very profound aspect of meditation, right? Today we know this in the psychological part. When somebody go to see a psychotherapist, they're talking a lot, all their problems, and psychotherapist is listening to say very few words, saying yes and no and this and that, very basic things, right? The patient feels relieved because somebody is listening, because there's a conversation is going on, there's a dialogue, right? I often say, today the marriage and the divorce is becoming a divorce percentage is becoming a big disaster for the marriage couples. But then there are some marriage couples, they can survive. But if you really see what is the number one tool, how they can survive, right? There are many theories, but for me, the very simple thing is the dialogue, the communication. At least the couples, they're talking to each other. They try to understand each other, to accept each other. The dialogue, it really generates the harmony and the long-lasting trust and, partnership or friendship or whatever, right? Even the friends is the same thing, right? The more we talk, the more we understand each other, our friendship is long-lasting. So that's why I try to bring this, the Greek word for meditation is dialogos, right? The dialogue. And this one actually makes sense with Tibetan word of gom. Gom means the meditation, and Tibetan says gomba main gomba and gomba long the juroyin. It says is not a meditate, or is not about meditation, as it's about familiarization, to become familiar with something, to get used to something. And to get used to something and to become familiar, we need to communicate, we need to dialogue, right? If you have a new dog or new cat, you try to communicate in their way, maybe in the beginning, these pets are not so too close to you, because your way of approaching with them is better and better, you know them, and then slowly we can build a friendship, right? Same thing with the normal friends. We meet a new person and the love stories. So the more we talk, the more we understand, the more we can build a harmony and a friendship. So that is also a meditation. So that's why what I think is really to finding out in the, in the European culture, the root of the meditation. I think it's very important. I'm not saying the method, the method or the rituals or the pujas, these things can be different. It's, different cultures and traditions, they have different expressions. What I'm saying is we really need to understand the essence of the meditation, right? And the essence of meditation is to ponder about our inner world, about our emotions, and to dialogue with ourselves, right? To talk with both positive and negative emotions. And this way we can understand ourselves better. And this way we can find the harmony. And this is the way that we can build our inner peace, right? Otherwise, we're constantly rejecting. Okay, shame, I don't like I'm a very shy person. I don't like this shameness, I'm a peaceful person, but when somebody triggers my anger, I can really explode. But I hate this anger, Can I do the mindful breathing or can I do yoga to reduce, right? It's okay, we can have this kind of approach. But best way to really work with anger, to manage with anger, is to dialogue with anger. So actually that essence is just in the word. For me, I don't read many books. Sometimes my way of thinking and seeing things, it's very simple. When people ask me what Buddhism is, I said, you have to know what Buddha means. Just one word, Buddha. If you know what Buddha means, that's the essence of Buddhism is, right? Bud means wake up. Da, in Tibetan is very clear. Sangje, sang means wake up. Nyil Sangba means completely, fully awaken, right? Awaken. Je means all positive qualities are completely developed. Fully awaken and all positive potential qualities are completely developed. That means a Buddha. So we have to wake up from our problems, from our psychological, mental issues. It's not just waking up is enough. And we need to embrace our positive energy, our potential, our universal power, right? And love and compassion, whatever it is, we need to embrace and embracing and to sharing and giving with others, right? And that means a Buddha. So that's why I think sometimes to really stick or to understand the basic, very foundational words, like to really understand about Buddhism is not get lost in a very fancy theory or philosophies. Just try to understand that Buddha, right? In an individual level. What does it mean for waking up for you? What does it mean to embrace your full attention, full potential, your positive energy, your positive prosperity, whatever, the wisdom, the power, the loving kindness, right? So that's why everybody can have a different understanding what Buddha means. But most important is we need to really understand what Bud and what Da, what Sang means, what Je means. And then we get a basic understanding. And from there we can start, the Buddhist practices and so on, right? We should not think Buddhism is about chanting, rituals, and pujas. Chantings and rituals and pujas are a method, a way, right, to help enhance our own practices and to help others. But that's not the essence of the Buddhism. Essence of Buddhism is the word of Buddha. Fully awaken and fully embrace our potential. Right? So similar way, when we talk about meditation, so when we talk about meditation, we really need to know the root meaning of meditation. So that's why I'm really convinced that probably many of those ancient meditation, like dialogue, right? If we talk about the psychology, probably the meditation, the ancient meditation, it's already a form of psychology, right? Or you talk somebody else, or you talk with yourselves. And the interesting thing is this dialogue also, if we talk about Sowa Rigpa's most famous book, the Jushi, the Four Medical Tantra. So Four Medical Tantra is a dialogue with two Buddhas, right? Medicine Buddha is the main Buddha, and inside of Medicine Buddha, the five chakras has five Buddhas. And then the Buddha in the throat chakra is the one asking questions, right? Asking questions. And then the other Buddhas, they're coming out and they answer the questions, right? So in a way, that is Yuthok, the founder of Sowa Rigpa, Yuthok's inner dialogue, right? Actually, also for us, when we think of something, right? When we think, okay, I'm going to change my diet. So that's the first, how can I change it? That's the first question, right? I want to change my diet, but how can I change it? So I'm making a decision, I want to change my diet, and then I ask myself, how can I change it, right? So I ask myself a question, and then I will meditate how to change it, or I do a research. I Google it, I read some papers, I watch YouTubes, according to my body typology, what kind of diet can I make and what is better for me, this and that, right? So when I try to find the answer, so you see, it's a kind of, in a way, kind of self-dialogue, right? I want to change it. I had that question, and now I want to find the answer by myself. So that is already kind of a process of meditation. So that's why, in the past, I often say that the Four Tantra medical book is a Yuthok's inner dialogue. Yuthok is talking himself, and then he wrote this as a form of book. Actually, it's amazing, right? It's a meditative state. But until I found that word, the Greek word, it says dialogue. The dialogue is for meditation. I always say the Yuthok's inner talk. But in a meditative state, but I didn't know that inner dialogue in the meditative state, actually it is the meditation. So therefore, for me, to understanding some Greek words and some Latin words, actually, it helps me to understand in a more deeper way, the Tibetan culture or Buddhist culture. That was a little bit too long, huh?
No, not at all. That's fascinating. Fascinating indeed. Gosh. And you've also written that studying Yuthok's teachings also brought you to this sense of universal connection. You write here, as humans, it is normal for us to separate into groups or schools or sects, and then think our way is different from others and also perfect. Yuthok helped me see all Buddhas as one Buddha, all Gurus as one Buddha. He tells us not to chase after teachings and practices, we need to know the essence of the teachings. Theoretically it made sense. Then when I did his practices, something clicked. I went from being a young scholar, thinking this way, my way, was the best way, to instead being totally relaxed. I could see all teachings as one, just coming from different angles and aspects. It was very powerful. It made me more flexible. Before, I had critical ideas about this or that because I was ignorant. We think we're smart and special when we look for difference and compare ideas to say what's better than others. But it's really smart and special to see how they are all connected, all in one. Then we are more balanced and closer to our natural state of bliss. So I'm curious about that. You had a theoretical understanding of this, and then something changed when you began to practice Yuthok Nyingthik spiritual teachings yourself. What was that click?
So I think, when we talk about the spiritual practice, what I think is there are two important things. One is the intellectual understanding, theoretical and philosophical understanding. We understand what universal awareness means, or, the shunyata, the state of emptiness is. It's it can be like purely theoretical and kind of intellectual understanding. So I think that part is important too. You know, some Buddhist schools, they focus a lot about this, right? It says, okay, the right view or vice view, and, you know, it's focusing, studying a lot of different kind of philosophy, theories, different thoughts, and so on. And I think that intellectual understanding is important for spiritual paths. You know, we cannot ignore that part. But then the other part is the experiential part. And that experiential part is not necessarily intellectual. It can be backed up by intellectual. You know, first you have intellectual understanding and then experiential, right? It can go similarly, it can be differently, you know. So I can't judge what are the other people's experiences. But for myself, as a young, you know, student, and also I was calling myself as a young yogi, I was really craving about tantric studies and yoga, different schools. You know, myself, I was studying with monks, you know, the new school, philosophical school, and then with yogis and, you know, yoginis. I was studying the old school. And then I was chasing after all teachers and, you know, schools, and learned and studied so many things. And then often saying, oh, the one I'm studying is the best, this and that, you know, as you read. But then when I did that, I actually, when you are kind of young and then you think like you are kind of also smart and more like intellectual, and you read so many books and you have so many teachers, in a way, you are kind of very proud and also very stubborn, right? So I was really kind of that kind of state, you know. I was saying, oh, in this tantra, that school is better explaining that tantra, that school is, you know, I had so many, this kind of constructed ideas, very solid ideas, fixations. But once I did that 7 days of Yuthok's retreat, actually it's an experiential part, you know. Something really clicked, and suddenly I thought, oh, what Yuthok expresses, it's so true. And we just need to relax, and we need to understand why other people's, they have different views, right? Because maybe the reality, there is only one reality, but expression of that reality can be in 100 different expressions, right? It's like the goal where we go is just the one goal, the one destination, but then there are 100 different ways to reach there. So everybody is talking, you know, how to reach there, right? And, you know, and that's the thing. And then I think that in the spiritual tradition, the most disturbing problem is the division, right? Actually, in the Latin word, the division is coming from the word of devils. So, you know, some people, they love to make the divisions, and, you know, the schools and sect and this and that, you know. And sometimes I really feel like they are kind of blessed by devils. That's why they love the divisions, you know, right? And dividing, and then they fight with their ideas, and, you know, like quarrel and argue and this and that. There's so much energy there for fighting and arguing and the things. It's really, you know, like a possessed by the devils, right? And I had a similar nature like that, you know, to protecting my school is the best school, this and that. But with that retreat, I was really completely relaxed. And then, you know, that kind of click, I was really thinking later, like, what is that? I thought, okay, then I told myself, I said, that's the blessing from Yuthok directly to me, to calm down this intellectual mind, you know, young, proud, egoistic, intellectual, my mind was kind of really rigid and solid like that, right? But there was a maybe missing that kind of blessing, you know, as a seed, but the seed is dry. It's missing that soil and the water. So I really felt in that retreat, like all this, my intellectual, egoistic views, you know, that seed is planted in the earth, and then Yuthok, he showered down the water, and then I kind of like the seed is relaxed and start to sprout, like this, something like this. And then I really tried to think all my old way of thinking, you know, and about teachers, about gurus, about the schools and philosophical views, even about being, I don't know, Tibetan or being a Mongolian or being a Vajrayana practitioner, are protecting your own traditions, this and that. There's so many, this kind of like, maybe we can say the mental conditions, right? You know, mental conditions, you know, we have cultural conditions, traditional conditions, all the conditions. So many things just, you know, they just fall a kind of apart. And actually that really gave me the birth of myself, organic self too, you know, to feel kind of free from all, you know, cultural conditions, traditional, and like even we have this kind of fight, like, oh, we are Tibetans and Tibetans are different from Chinese, or, you know, my grandma is Mongolian. Some Tibetans, they call me, oh, you are Mongolian. And then at end, what is the really difference between Tibetans and Mongolians and Chinese as a human? I'm not talking about politics, okay? Of course, political pressures, problems, conflict, there are so many things. But as a human, as an organic human, as a naked human, right? I grew up as a organic little boy in Tibet, in Mongolia, in China. Actually, what is the difference? When we put all different colored kids together, they just play together. What is the really the difference, right? Is the language is different? Is the color is different? Is the family tradition? There is an organic nature. It really comes together, universal, you know? So that retreat really clicked to me, something discovered my, like this organic self is everything's okay, you know, it's everything's okay. Some people call me, you are Chinese. It's okay if they think I'm, maybe compared to them, they think all small eyes are Chinese or Asian. I don't get offended to say I'm not Chinese, I'm this and that. It's all okay. It's kind of like I think to really recognition of our humanness. I don't know, this organic humanness. Once we really touch in there, then we can relax all with all our political, cultural, you know, conditions, or also spiritual conditions or religious conditions. So maybe that was the click. You are right. I said there was a kind of click. I didn't understand why. Now you are asking me. So it's like kind of like a shift, you know, I'm kind of free myself from all these conditions, right? Cultural conditions, political conditions, and spiritual conditions, religious conditions. Because when you grow up one school, of course, you are taught that school is the best, but it is a condition. And then another group says their group is the best, and they have a condition too. So once I'm free from all these conditions, if somebody says my group is best, I said, yes, I respect your group. I know your group is the best in your view. I know you think that way because you're conditioned this. I'm not going to argue with you that. I'm not going to compete. I'm not going to fight with you. Yes, I understand. I respect you. I respect your school. But then I know some school, this, oh, you have to be this school, and they try to condition you again, you know, right? And then there I had to struggle a little bit, but now I'm more free, more freestyle. Yeah. So that was one of my really first click. And then I also try to understand later in an analytic way, because Yuthok is the founder of the Yuthok Nyingthik and the practice I do in the Vajrayana. And also Yuthok was the father of Sowa Rigpa, Tibetan medicine. I think, you know, because he was a doctor, he was very much relaxed about, you know, the importance of the school, the identity of the schools, you know, the Buddhist schools, And I think he was much more relaxed about these things because he was a doctor. He had to deal with his patient, right? And then the patient can be any school. So we, regardless the social status, which school you belong, we have to treat all patients equally. And I think there is a reason that Yuthok had this very open-minded, views, because he was a doctor too. Even we talk about Medicine Buddha as a mandala, the Tanaduk Medicine Buddha garden. Medicine Buddha is in the center. He's surrounded by Hindu gods and the Buddhist, the bodhisattvas, and then the rishis and non-Buddhist, So Medicine Buddha is surrounded by not only Buddhist, also non-Buddhist. So actually, this also gives a very open-minded view, right? But when I was in Tibet, I didn't think these things, these questions, I didn't think this way. So I was thinking under the umbrella. And so that retreat kind of removed my umbrellas, Then I say, oh, this is the sun. Oh, this is myself. And then maybe the organic sprout spiritually maybe started from there. And then, also my other retreat, like 2 years ago, I did a few months of retreat. And there I can say I had a second click. So that's more, the spiritual experience. Yeah, that one we don't need to talk. And so this book, the reason I say the let meditation be the medicine, and especially I talked about the typology. There are different, according to Tibetan medicine, there are different type of people. So here I have like a wind type, a fire type, and water and earth type, according to the 4 elements. And then different, there are many different kinds of meditations. So we cannot say this meditation is the best meditation for everyone, right? The same thing, the medications, we cannot say this medication is the best for every, from all drugs, right? If somebody has a pain, the best medication is painkiller. If somebody has a constipation, the best medicine is a purgative, right? If somebody has a digestion problem, best medicine is digestive medicine. If somebody has a circulation problem, best medicine is circulatory medicine, right? If somebody has an inflammation, the best medicine is anti-inflammatory medicines. So the same way, meditations, there are many different kind of meditations, but we cannot say one meditation is the best for everybody. We cannot say shamatha is the best for everyone or vipassana is the best for everyone, right? And there are many different forms and many types of meditations. And then we need to find what type of people we are. So to knowing what kind of people we are, then we can find the best meditations for us, right? So we need to know what disease we have. So based on that, then we can take the best medication, right? So that's why I often say there is no one best meditation for everyone, but everyone can find their own best meditations. So it can be pondering, thinking carefully, analyzing, and so on. Can be dialogue, or can be breathing, just coming down. Or, today when we say meditation, some people, they always think, oh, just to clear up your mind, this and that, focus and concentration. I know many people, their lack of focus. That's why they think, okay, I need to meditate to focus. Some people, it helps, for concentration and mind training. And some people, they stress themselves so much. I'm training my mind. I'm training my mind. Oh, I can't train my mind. It's difficult to train our mind, right? Easier to train our body. So, and then they get super stressed about, mind training. They don't know how to train the mind. They don't know how to train the mind because they don't know what kind of mind they have, what kind of mindset they have, right? So that's why this typology, I think it's very, very helpful, right? Windy mind, wind, it's, very sensitive and up and down. fire, very intellectual and clear and analytic, and then water, more like relax and so on. But then also meditation, the tantric meditation, what I like is now I'm more and more talking about this meditations based on emotions, right? And this some kind of this meditation based on emotions, I think it's very important too. And like, for example, we have this, some meditations are anger management meditations. Anger management, we are not saying, okay, you just meditate on loving kindness and that is the opposite of anger, it helps. For some people, it might help. But for many people, it's easy. We use more homeopathic, right? Anger, use anger against anger. It means don't against anger, let anger release. Or just to talk with anger. You thought somebody is your enemy, you talked, and now you see as a friend, right? There are many different ways. So that's why engaging our emotions and the meditations are very, very important. And of course, many people didn't know about Tibetan Guru Yoga, it's a Vajrayana or Tantric Buddhist meditation, very famous meditation, Guru Yoga. And many people, they are having issues with the Guru Yoga because in the Guru Yoga says you have to trust in your Guru, you must have faith in the Guru, whatever your Guru does, you must have pure vision, don't judge your Guru, this and that, right? There's an external, like extreme focus, how you see your Guru as a perfect person. I don't think that's the key point. In the Guru Yoga, the key point is trust. It's talking more about the trust. So instead of to saying if my Guru is a perfect person or not, it's better to reflect our own trust, the self-trust and self-confidence, right? Actually, we call it self-confidence. And this confidential also means trust. And even the friendship is about the trust, right? The word of friend, I think it's more based on the trust. So that's why the trust, it's a very important human mental quality, mental or emotional quality. It's something we really need. Once we don't have this self-confidence, and then I think many things go wrong in our life, right? Even psychological, when they talk about this attachment theory, the secure attachment and insecure attachment. So if we grow up with insecure attachment, to practice Guru Yoga is very difficult, right? Because we grow up with insecurity. We are not sure other people's love and kindness and affection. We grow up like this, and now we are told the spiritual we have to trust in somebody. It's very difficult. But if somebody is grow up with a secure attachment, and they know what is a secure attachment, right? And it's like a safe love and safe affection. They save love and save affection they received from parents or primary caretakers. They grow up this, okay, now Guru Yoga, you need to trust in the Guru. You have the base. It's very easy, right? But insecure attachment, people, they don't have this safe, love and compassion and kindness and affections. For them, it's difficult to have that. So that's why sometimes I tell people, just to check your emotional state or psychological state a little bit. But then how the Guru Yoga can help for this insecure attachment is not about the gurus, is that about ourselves. How to really understand our own organic nature, right? Now we are grown up. We don't need to depending, on our perfect parents, right? When we talk about the Guru Yoga, you need to have a perfect guru. It's similar like we need to have perfect parents, right? Some kids, they see their parents are perfect, and some kids, they see their parents are imperfect. And in reality, I don't think any parents are perfect, right? but the way of the transmit and the dialogue or the communicate with the kids are different. And then also kids, they have a different connections. So that's why if we are this kind of insecurely, the people with insecure attachment, so Guru Yoga, we should not think too much about why gurus are so perfect at this and that. I think we really need to work with ourselves to saying this secure attachment we can build with ourselves. Right now we are adult people and we can trust in ourselves. And I can make my decision. I can work for myself. I can love myself. I can take care of myself, right? The self-care, the self-wellness. So once we are able to do so many things like this, and then there are some spiritual, how do you say, blessing or spiritual connection, I think it helps to really grow this internal self-confidence. Okay, I'm saying this because, in the Yuthok's Guru Yoga, we have the outer Guru Yoga, which you see your Guru as Yuthok and so on. Then inner Guru Yoga, actually you see the 5 Buddhas in your 5 chakras. And then the concise, the Guru Yoga, it says the Guru is in your heart. So actually, according to Guru Yoga, at end it says the best and the top Guru is our own mind, right? As we say, the best Buddha is our own Buddha. Our Buddha nature is the best Buddha. It's inside, right? So that's why I think this kind of psychological or emotional, the loop or the circle of this, tantric practices, to having devotion or faith in Guru, what does it mean, right? But if we externalize, then we get troubles. But if we are able to internalize, we really use it internally, mentally, psychologically, spiritually, then it can really help us break through this insecure attachment. And at end, what we really achieve is the self-trust and a healthy, not the narcissistic self and I and ego. It's a kind of very healthy and very peaceful, very harmonized self, self-love and self-compassion, self-wellness. Once we are able to build all this, good self, and then we are, as a human, is not only we think about ourselves and we go out and we help others too, right? So that's why I really, I talked about these emotions, how they are connected with our meditation. I know in the Tibetan Buddhism, there's some masters, they don't like to talk about, stress and psychological issues in bringing in the Vajrayana. They think that's kind of bullshit. But I think those are the most important and most useful informations for general public in our day,
Very interesting indeed. And in this book, you describe the Yuthok Nyingthik practices in general, right from Ngundra all the way up to completion stage practices such as Tumo and Dream Yoga and so on, illusory body yoga, etc. And then you have chapters devoted to each of the typologies a person might be, and then you recommend certain meditations or how a particular standard meditation might be tweaked or approached in a slightly specific way for that particular typology. I think that's very fascinating. And so my last question to you, you're talking about these restrictive conditioning views, and you write about this as the bonsai tree pot. You say most human beings are like bonsai trees, living in little pots made of conditioned views. This is good at first. This is safe. Our parents and caregivers put us in a safe little pot. Our roots get covered with different layers of dirt that have been passed down over generations. Layers of culture, layers of custom, layers of tradition, layers of education, layers of religion, layers of concepts about what humans can and can't do. And you're talking here about this click that took you somehow beyond the limitations of these conditioned views. So my question is, you also, it's quite clear, I think, from the first half of the interview, retain an appreciation and respect and great admiration for things like culture, for custom, for tradition, education, religion as well. You've talked in such wonderful terms about Greek and Roman traditions, ancient Egyptian traditions, and of course about the Tibetan traditions as well. So how can one move beyond these conditioned views, the bonsai pot, and still retain such an open appreciation for those layers of culture, religion, and custom, and so on, that you seem to somehow be able to do both? How is that done?
Well, I think the open-mindedness and the flexibility is very important, right? Because when we talk about religious concept or spiritual theories and thoughts, sometimes we have so strong fixations. I think the fixation is the problem. So we need to be flexible. We can't be like the stones and rocks. We need to be like a river and water and flow, right? So this is one thing. And then also, I think it's important to have this, if you are more open and flexible mentality, then also adaptable, right? So, like the trees, some trees that are tropical, but then sometimes they grow here in Italy too. But some trees, they grow in the mountain, so, some trees, they can survive, some they can't survive. They are, it's a level of how much you are kind of adaptable, right? So I think those things are really, really important. And my personal view is, I really think, my life story is kind of short. I was born as an organic nomad. Then I entered a communist school, like a communist, Chinese communist student. I went through all schools and trains and so on. It was very, very hard. And then kind of to receive tantric teachings, yoga, my young age from different this, and then study Tibetan medicine, then becoming a doctor, and then becoming a teacher. So today my state is I'm a kind of teacher, kind of, and so all these life experiences. If I look back all my different stages of my life, what I really think what is the most important is the humanness. So that's why I'm calling it the organic heart. And this organic heart is like a plant. If you put this seed somewhere else, we need to adjust according to that air, that light, and that water, right? We have to know that we are in a different location, different time zone, different amount of sunlight and water we receive, right? So that's why if we know how to live in the new environment, how to survive in that new environment, and then of course, we have the basic emotional intelligence, right? Emotional intelligence. Because sometimes we think we are very intellectual and smart and intelligent, but we don't have emotional intelligence. That's why we messes up when we go to a new place, right? If the one of my personal nature is I like to learn new languages, right? When I go to, if I meet some Africans, I don't know, some small tribes, if I meet them, I always ask something. What do you say the book in your language? What do you say the finger in your language? Something like that, What do you say thank you in your language? So the reason I try to learn a language is not like I'm saying, oh, I'm a fast learner of language. I just want to respect, to make a connection with them, right? So I also imagine I met a new person, completely new. It's a stranger I don't know. But if I met this person in a jungle, right? And our conversation will be, okay, let's do something together. let's see how we can find the fruit, some food, or let go somewhere to find the water. Maybe we don't have the language for communication, but try to do the body language to understand. Let's do something together. Let's see what we can do together. What are similarities, right? So that's why in the past, I was always saying to try to see what's the difference, from culture to culture, group to group, and this, when we focus to saying difference, and then which one is good and which one is bad, I think that's a wrong way of thinking. Now I always try to see what is the same, what is the similarities. And that's our common ground, right, for humans. And those common ground, we can always find the respect and harmony and the peace. So in a way, I come out to this bonsai theory. This I actually discovered in our garden. We had a bamboo, and this about bonsai tree too. Once you remove them and you put them in the ground, even after 2-3 years, you dig out again some of these. It's like this, So you see, like they still have that old memory. The root is still like all stuck together. But then the bamboos are different. Once you plant it, it goes like this. They call it invasive. It's in a way it's invasive, but other way they are able to stretch and to grow again too, right? So that's why I think, we open-minded and flexible mind is very important. So once we have really open-minded and flexible mind, we can find a friendship with everyone. And that's, I think, what we all need, right? Otherwise, even we call ourselves religious or spiritual, there's so much spiritual conflicts and fights. I think it's just ridiculous, right? And we are fighting in the name of God or in the name of the divine masters or Buddha. It's just ridiculous. So that's why I think this human organic nature is very, very important. Yeah.
Dr.
Okay.
Nida Chenagtsang, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another Guru Viking podcast. For more interviews like these, as well as articles, videos, and guided meditations, visit www.guruviking.com.